In this video, I'm going to be showing you how I like to prepare my horses for bridling, how I prepare my riders for bridling, and how I eventually bridle my horses. How I like to start a horse and a rider on bridling is by using my lead rope at first, okay? So this goes for every horse that I ever bridle. I always start out this way, and then every person that I teach how to bridle, I have them start out this way. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my lead rope and I just toss it over my horse's neck. And I leave a little bit of slack on this side. Then I'm going to go ahead and grab on to the halter. So everybody should be on the left side of their horse, and I want you to do what I just did. So lead rope goes over the horse's head, and then you're going to grab onto the lead rope and onto your halter right here. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to use this part of my lead rope, the tail of my lead rope, as the bit. And I make sure that there's tension in here, because if there's no tension, what's going to happen is it'll just be loose and it won't go into the horse's mouth properly. So now I'm going to take and I'm going to bring this up to my horse's mouth, and I put my thumb right in the corner if I should need to. And then when her mouth is nice and quiet and her head is low, I just drop it back out. Okay. So, and now what's important that I want to make sure that happens is, now see how you girls got a lot of slack. So I take a hold up here. So take a look at this. Hold it just like you're going to hold a bit to put in the horse's mouth, okay? And you bring it up to the horse's mouth. You put your hand flat on their muzzle, and there should be tension on that rope, okay? And then when it goes in the horse's mouth, it goes in just like a bit would. So you're holding it with the wrong side. So grab the tail of your rope. You feed the tail in, and you're going to hold it with your left hand just like you do with the bit. Take a look at this, okay? Watch me. So I hold here and here. That will help this have tension. I'm going to bring this underneath like that. There's tension on there, okay? And then I just pop it to my horse's mouth, okay? But it's tight. Over here it's tight. So this is how we get a horse good at bridling, and this is how we get a person good at bridling. So think about how you got your hand on it. You want to hold it exactly like you hold the bit when it's going into the horse's mouth. And you want to stay with the horse. So if your hand is not staying with the horse and they're able to lift their head up, that's them avoiding the pressure, okay? So it's really important that you stay with them no matter what, and you release the pressure when it's good. And your fingers have to stay underneath the rope. And when it's nice and quiet and soft, you can drop it back out. Let me see you do that again. See how mine is holding here and here? Okay. And then your left hand, so switch, okay, that's your left hand. But this right here, so I don't want you to be like, okay, let's feed this into your mouth. I want you to hold under here and hold here like this, and then put this up into the horse's mouth with there being tension, just like you would bridle, okay? You wouldn't pick up your bit and try just to put the bit in the horse's mouth without it pulling up on the top. So it's the same thing. But that's how you're going to work with, getting good at this, okay? With every horse that you come encounter with, this is a great way to start on bridling, because until you get really good at it, you want to make sure that you're not banging the horse's mouth with the bit. There you go. That was perfect. Now go ahead and just rub her and let it drop back out of her mouth. That was nice. Really, really nice. And stay with. You got to make sure that you just keep your hand with. If she lifts her head, I want you to plan to go with her. There you go. Good, good. Same thing. Pet her, rub her, love on her. Let them know that that was awesome when they do that, okay? Okay, next step. So when you guys feel like you've gotten a good handle on that, so Danny, she shouldn't be flinging her head around quite so much. Put your thumb in the corner of her mouth and have her open it up. I think there's just too much commotion there with her muzzle. There, that's good. But always, you know, if they don't open right away, like this horse will open her mouth right away for the bit, but if they don't open right away, I just put my thumb in there just to get them to open up their mouth. Otherwise, you end up with that head slinging and them just trying to figure out how to get rid of the pressure. She's like, okay, I'm good now. Got it. There. And all this yawning, and that's good. That's very relaxing. Good. Okay, so now you guys go ahead and practice getting the actual bit into their mouth. Now, yeah. See how good that went this time now? That was great. That was really good.
Do we take it back out?
No, now you got it on. You only have to practice with the lead rope. But once you got, and see how that ear, the left ear kind of came out again? I always put this ear in first and then this one because that just seems to happen. So, all right. Well, Danny, you got an ear bent. Okay. So I'm gonna grab my bridle. Okay, so now I've got an English bridle out here and a Western bridle. This is just a Western bridle with slobber straps and a loop rein. I don't care if I'm riding English or Western, doesn't matter. I bridle the exact same way. The only difference I feel between an English and a Western bridle is the English bridle has a nose band, and I don't see much purpose of needing to use that. So really the purpose for the nose band on an English bridle is to prevent the bit from coming through the horse's mouth. It's the same thing that the curb strap on your Western bridle does. So, and some folks like to really tighten down that nose band to keep the horse from being able to open up its mouth. I don't believe in that. So I always keep my nose band a little bit loose on my English bridle. So tonight I'm gonna go ahead and just use this. And this is just an offset D. So I'm going to show you how to put the bridle on. So I come underneath the horse's chin first. So I got it underneath my horse's chin, and I think I might want to maybe show you that again and slower and emphasize on that. So how I'm going to put it on her face to start with is I grab a hold of this ring, okay? The ring, the right side ring is what I'm going to grab onto, because I see a lot of people just try to put it on the horse's face, and that's just not going to work out. So I take a hold of it and I get it underneath the chin like that. Now I can bring her head down. Okay? And I've taught all my horses to bring their heads down for bridling because I want to make sure that I'm not on my tippy toes. Now I'm just going to bring my bit to my horse's mouth and she'll open right up for me. But if she didn't, I would just gently put my thumb in the corner of her mouth. I'm real careful over here not to have the bridle in her eye. I'm going to tuck this ear forward and then this ear forward. Now, this is how I like to bridle, and the reason why is because I've got good control over my horse's head the whole time. Some folks like to bridle their horse like this and put the bit in that way. The reason I don't bridle my horses that way is because plenty of times in my life, the horse has just lifted its head and left. So, but when I've got the horse's head like this, they can't leave me. I've got good hold of them everywhere that I need to have it. Another thing that I do see a lot of people do, and I'm going to tell you guys all a little story, is I had a student, a lot of people will just put the reins up over their horse's head and then bridle. I've done it many times, it's fine. But I want you to always think about what could happen, because that's the way that I think, and then I kind of weigh out the risks from there as to what I'm going to do. So I had a student one time, and she had a, she's pretty small, shorter than me, I'd say less than 5 feet tall, okay? And she was riding a horse that was about 15.3. Put the reins up over the horse's neck, went to, and didn't have a halter on at all, went to put the bridle on, and the horse spooked backwards. So I don't know if snow fell off the roof or whatever it was that happened, but the horse jumped back, and she let go of the bridle as the horse jumped back, and what happened is that bridle came up and smacked him in the chest, and he was already scared from whatever it was that happened, but he took off and started bucking around my tacking up area, which is not that big, maybe 40 by 60. Bucking around there, went out the man door, took the frame off the man door, was fully saddled, and had these reins around his neck and the bridle flapping along behind him. bounced off of our porta potty, almost knocked that over, and bucked all the way around the property, down the fence line, and finally stopped at the gate with the reins still around his neck and the headstall wrapped around his left hind foot. And he was stuck. So, and that was a position, it's like, kind of like walking up to a sleeping bear and poking it with a stick. Not something that you want to do. So we had to very carefully remove it from the horse's leg, and luckily he didn't kick our heads off. But that was just enough for me to say, you know, maybe that's not a good idea, because things can happen. Now on my really broke, quieter horses, sure, you know, if you don't have your halter on them, fine. But that's just something to keep in mind, and I'll never forget that situation and what happened that day, and neither will my student. And it was her horse, and she learned a lot from that. So, but anyway, so I prefer to keep the halter on when I bridle them up, and then what I like to do is take the bridle or the halter off once the bridle's already on. I'm gonna untie my halter, I bring it down. It's gonna go into her nose just like the bit would. Now, the nose band's gonna come around the bit and back out. Ta-da! Now, I have been at horse shows and caught many horses that have taken off during the bridling process. Owner went to put the bridles on, took the halter off, and had either the reins around the neck or nothing at all, just thought the horse would stay there. And the horse just turns and takes off. Or the halter's still around the neck and the horse takes off with the halter and lead rope around the horse's neck. But anyway, so that's a little trick that I try to show as many people as possible, because when you go to an event and you've got a horse that maybe it's their first time being somewhere away from home, it can be kind of scary. They act a lot different at events than they do maybe at home for the first few times. But that's one way that you can bridle your horse safely away from home and not have to worry about them taking off on you. Now, I'm going to talk about how I want my bit to be adjusted in my horse's mouth. So, with this here, I look at how I put my bit in my horse's mouth very similar to how I wear my pants. You don't want your pants hiked up too far, and you don't want them sagging. That comfortable spot where they're just fitting right where they belong, that's how I like my bit. I like it to just sit right in the corner of the horse's mouth. I don't like a lot of wrinkles. I don't want them smiley, and I don't want this to be floppy here. So that's how I know that it sits just right. My horse can hold it comfortably in her mouth. One of the things that's important to me with bridle fit or adjustment, I like to make sure that my brow band is nice and straight, and I like to have it set just below the ears. Sometimes you'll see it where horses have, it's low on one side and high on the other side. I just want people to pay attention to that and make sure that the brow band is on properly. And that'll change the fit of the throat latch too, because if it's down too far on one side, the brow band, it's gonna make it so your throat latch seems shorter. So now with my throat latch, I wanna make sure that I can put my hand in here sideways. I do not want my throat latch tight on my horse at all, because that really interferes with, you know, when they give you a soft feel and flexion, it'll get in the way. So it's kind of like, you know, when you're wearing a helmet, you want it there, but you don't want it choking you. So I don't want my throat latch to be choking my horse. Something that's really important when taking a bridle off of a horse is to make sure that as it's coming down, I put my left hand on the bridge of her nose, I slide it off over her ears, I keep the tension up top, and I let her work her mouth and drop it out gently like that. I don't want my horse to get her teeth banged, so I never let it drop out of their mouth. I let it come down real quietly. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give it a like, share it with your friends, and comment below. Let me know if you have any good tips or tricks for bridling horses. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching.